Hello, welcome to another drum tutorial. It's been about 2 years since I last did one of these. I'm in our new apartment, which we've been in for a little over a year and a half. Not sure why I stopped doing these, but it's a fun thing to do, so I'll probably get at least a few more out there before I lose interest again. So, okay, what are we doing today? Let's just get into it. We are doing Jagged math rock, Jagged math rock drumming, and what is that? What is that? So normally you have kind of two extremes in math rock drumming. On one end, you have stuff where you're basically just playing rock in odd meters, right? You know, stuff like June of '44, Early Minus the Bear, that kind of thing. The Jesus Lizard, where it's just, you know, it's just normal rock riffs, normal backbeat patterns, and it just happens to be in 5/4 or whatever. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have basically Zach Hill and people who sound like Zach Hill. They're just like, their hands are flying, they're hitting everything, there's just so much snare. Too much snare to even know what the snare is anymore. It's just a blur, and there's just symbols and numbers, so many numbers, too many numbers. So those are your two extremes, right? And sometimes though, you might want something a bit in the middle, something that's not really technical, but that's still a bit, not confusing, but not, something just a little opaque, you know, something that the listener is going to listen to, they're going to hear for the first time, and they're not going to know exactly where the one is, they're not going to know what the meter is, they're going to be a little lost at times, which can be, you know, it's a fun thing to be lost in music. So maybe you're trying to do this, but you don't want to go full hill, right? You want to bring it back a little bit. This is for you. So this is basically going to be the same stuff we've been doing in the other videos, but just some very simple kind of compositional tricks to, I don't know, make it a little more confusing, a little more angular than normal. And to help this, I'm going to reverse my normal formula. I'm actually going to play the song first, and then at the end I'll go back and explain a couple things about what I was doing. I just realized it looks like the camera's like off. I guess I have it set up to see the most things. Hopefully I'm not like totally gone. And he was like, who's this ghost talking to me? Why are the drumsticks floating? Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to play it first. And this is convenient because I also haven't been playing much in this 2 years. So if I fuck up here, then I can just cut and keep the intro and not really lose a lot of progress and go again. So if there's a cut right now, it's because I just failed to play this like 10 times. Okay. I ain't never made a mistake a day in my life. I don't know what you're talking about. in one try. Don't know what that edit's for. First of all, you're probably, what the fuck was that? That was the worst drumming ever. For stuff like this, it usually kind of sounds bad out of context. If you added in guitars, something like really rusty sounding and angular, like shellac or something, it would work out. Shut the fuck up. It's fine. So the problem with doing the explanation afterwards is I'm fat, and so I'm out of breath right now. The first thing is that there's a lot of stops, a lot of gaps, right? You probably noticed that. A lot of gaps. Basically what that is just the normal X7 additive meters we've been doing forever, right? So like a 7, right? Normally we've been kind of evening it out with those eighth notes. It smooths out the angles. It's still obviously pretty angular, but it smooths it out. It smooths it out. What we've been doing, well, first of all, what you can do is change the chord note. Right? It just kind of, it takes the smoothness out. It accents the angularity, it brings it out what's already there. We're taking that a little bit further. We're smoothing out the first half and then leaving the gap at the end. Right? And then you string together a bunch of stuff. And it sounds very, right? Just like unsteady, like nobody knows what the fuck they're playing. Yeah. So do that. Do that thing. I think that's really it for that point. Just, you know, do additive things. Well, actually, yeah, the next thing kind of goes into the other point. The next point is hiding the one. The cliche in basically all rock is you crash on one, right? Generally not every measure, but you get the idea. You're going to crash on the downbeat of some number of measures to let everybody know where the downbeat is. And that's something I do, I mean, that's a stereotype. You can find a lot of examples of people not crashing on the one, obviously. But it's something I do almost without fail. Just by default, I will be crashing on the downbeat because I want to say, hey, here is the one. We're in this weird number, and let's bring out what that number is. Make it very easy to showcase it, because I think the number itself is cool. That's what interests me about this music. So I want to put that front and center, and crashing on the one helps telegraph what we're in. So to reverse that, we're just basically never crash on the one. The only time you'll note that I crash on the one is during the breakdown. And that's really just during the part where everything is crashes anyways. Other than that, no downbeat gets a crash. If you heard a crash at any point during that and you're like, okay, there's the one, you are wrong. No. I almost threw this and broke my camera, and I'd be sad. No. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's a standard thing in this where I crash, but it's not the one, and usually offbeat entirely, right? So what I mean by that, like the section where I'm like, those like little 5/8. You're crashing off. First of all, the downbeat is right. So you're crashing on the 2. You're crashing on the 2. There, you're crashing in the chorus. You're crashing at the very end of the pattern during the weird, right? That thing, you just that's another thing, you throw those like crashes. You can't really tell with muted cymbals, but throwing those quick crashes on syncopated beats just kind of throws them. They're no longer even like accents, they're just like explosions off to the side, right? You also get that during the fill, or you would if the cymbals weren't muted, but you know, see that it's off. It's all out in space and exploding. Yeah, there's that. There's that. So there's the crashes. There's also repeating. How would I say this? Putting identical information at the end of the phrase as you started it with. That's probably the worst way to say that. You play the same thing at the front and the back. And that way people, if they're listening to the first time, they get confused. Because they, like, at the very first thing, right? You kick off with that 7. And then right after the... That's not the same 7. That you do that again. And you probably heard that and you're like, okay, I bet that's 1 again. But then, of course, that means we're going to another 7, and some of you may have immediately caught it there that, okay, no, we faked this out. Some of you might not have. Some of you may have fallen asleep. But that's, you know, you just vary. Right? Yeah. You see how it works. And that also allows you to kind of bring a surprise transition. It probably sounded like it just started at like the wrong spot or like something was cut out, but that was, you know, I'm believing the point. You get the idea. The other things with the 5s, so you start the phrase on the second one of those big crashy things. So it's that, the 1, right? Just a thing. The other thing, it doesn't really hide the 1, but just by making a phrase too long and too repetitive, you can make it feel uncomfortable. Which we see in the bridge. After the fill, you have so that's 7, 9, 5, 5, 7, 5, and then the fill. And that's another kind of thing of repeating it, but here we're doing it with the whole phrase. The entire section kicks off with the fill, right? And it also ends with the fill. The fill is actually considered part... If you were to write it out, it would be at the end of the whole... That, and then you get to the thing. And then we're just cutting that off and pasting it at the front as well, so as to create that kind of... blur the lines, you know what I'm saying. I think that's really it. That's all you gotta do. It also helps to change feels a lot. So going from like the, right, and the coming off of the, I did this in the wrong order. I guess that's a minor example there. You have the 9/8. Oh, and you're putting the crashes at the last beat of the measure there. Just because. You have the 9/8, and then you're just, it's going into 12/8, and you're just copying that last beat though. So. right? Again, playing with the theme of repeating things, but then modifying them, just to help, you know, throw people off a little bit, just a little bit. You're not trying to lose the listener completely. That's kind of was maybe overstated at the beginning. I don't remember, but it's just enough to keep it interesting, to bear out repeat listens. Like if you just finish the song and then you just played it for somebody like 5 times, they'd figure it out. Like, you don't have to explain anything. They'd probably figure out where everything goes. But if you imagine like an album of doing this kind of thing, over time, basically, the more you extend the length of this work, the better this works. Obviously. Higher information means more complexity. Duh. So, I should have had notes or something prepared for this, because I feel like I'm missing something, but I also feel like I'm not. It's not that complicated a concept. But yeah, okay. So, additive accent pattern things, but you even out the front and then leave the gaps, right? Key, bury the 1. Also bury the 1 by repeating things at the end. Those are 1 point. That's, do a whole album of it. I haven't done a tutorial in 2 years. Shut the fuck up. I think I'm done. Actually. Oh, yeah, I am done. If you wanted to know, just for some reason, the times, I'll just say the times of everything. If you don't, just stop the video. You probably already stopped the video. So I didn't really do this one in time signature. Well, I did it like in bits and pieces. So like the first section I think is in like 35/8 if you want to take the whole pattern as one big thing. But in reality, it would be written as like 7/5/5. The polyrhythm is kind of an 11. It's 9 8th notes of space and then 2 8th note gap. Right? And then you have the 7 again. So that's that. We have the 9, 8, and 12. We already did. The next section is all 5/8. And for there, this is really keeping time. These are just, you know, out there. Except for 1 bar of 2/4 coming off of that. That's 2/4, and then 5/8 again. I think in total it's like 44 counts. The chorus is a bit weird. I think it's in 7/4. I'm pretty sure it's in 7/4 though. And it's it kind of swing. Okay, so the first 11 16th notes are like a swingy, and then that snare, you have 2 counts, and then you go into a 5/8, but it's starting on the or the E. 11 count. It's starting on the yeah, there's no right. And then is technically 3/4. I think. So it's kind of a weird. I think it's just 7/4, but it's the way it's phrased. It was something I was just playing, and then that became the chorus pattern. But I'm pretty sure it's in 7/4. It's just kind of tangled. And then you have the 3/4 fill, and you have 7 9 5 5 7 5. And then the breakdown is just 2 1 3 1 5. And I think I played one of the 3s as a 4 somewhere when I actually did it. And you've got that little kind of grace note kick. Right? And then the fill going into the chorus is just... Right? Just bringing back those old phrases in kind of a jumbled, piecemeal fashion. I think that's it. I think that's everything there is to know about music. So.